All right. Well, for some of you that do not know me, I'm just going to reintroduce myself. My name is Amanda Escobedo. I'm super excited to kick off our first topic for our HR leadership series. And our first topic is on a coaching approach for HR leaders. And for those of you that have had a limited amount of time to just get to know me, you've probably already learned how passionate I am about this topic. I have 3 different coaching certifications. And initially, when I decided to go into the coaching realm and get educated in this field, I had found myself being successful with influencing leaders and employees in the HR role some of the time, but not all of the time. And I wouldn't say I'm successful all of the time, but I think what this tool, the coaching tools that have really helped me, is really be more an effective leader and influence the team in a way where I'm actually able to unlock their own ideas, unlock their own solutions. And so we're going to talk a lot about that. A lot of the time you hear is our HR roles, HR advisors, which is absolutely true. We are here, we have insights of risk management, engagement, whatever it is that we are kind of the experts in the people field. And I'm sure there's many times that you've been in exchange with your leader where you've been giving advisory and you feel resistance, right? And you're not really sure why they're not taking your advice. And so a bit of coaching is help that conversation feel a little more connected, a little more alignment, and it's going to actually help you unlock a little more of the root of the resistance so you together can help solve for that. And so the other piece that I think coaching has really taught me is that information is not enough to drive people to success. That really people have to be motivated and inspired to drive their own success. And so that's my goal a little bit of today. Well, actually, I'll go into a next slide here of what my tangible goal, but that's a little background of just kind of why I decided to go into the coaching field to kind of support my HRBP role. And the other last piece I'll say as before I just dive into what's our goal for today is, us as HRBPs, we're at a critical place to be using coaching tools. We're frontline with our leaders and we're frontline with our employees, and which also means we're frontline with helping our leaders become better coaches themselves. So going into what is our goal for today? There's a lot of different things that we could actually talk about on this topic of coaching, a coaching approach for HR leaders. And I was kind of going around, bouncing around, and I think what helped kind of settle my mind a little bit of what do I focus on, because there's just so many tools and so many resources. Having that bigger picture, that's the bigger picture goal of what I'm hoping to do for you all this year. Now, as it relates to this session, this is really just a kickoff session. And what that means is we're going to provide you a little bit like a first initial session of what is coaching. What is your role as an HR? What is your role as a coach as it relates to your job as HR? We're going to talk a little bit about the misconceptions of coaching. And we're also going to provide you with insights of what are the critical moments that it makes sense to apply some tools. And we're going to give you tangible tools that you can actually use in your job today. So that's a little bit about our goal. And at the top, if you see here, empower for success. A big part of what coaching is unlocking human potential. And so a lot of the time we all feel like we all have the greatest and the brightest ideas, which is true. We're in a sea of beauty and insights and innate gifts that you all have, your leaders have, employees have. And what we want to do is empower that potential. We want to activate it. And so we're going to be empowering your own success today. We're going to be giving you tools to empower your leader success, employee success. So we're going to dive into the first overview, which is let's walk through a little bit of some misconceptions of what coaching actually is. Now, you might have heard some of these phrases as it relates to coaching. One of them is coaching is for people with problems. Well, at the end of the day, coaching is, we are here to kind of work through obstacles. It's absolutely a part of the process, but coaching is really focused on goals. It's very future forward. And whenever we have great visions and ideas for success that we want to achieve, it's uncertain. If it's all new, if this was something that we had championed and done before, it's not really a goal if it's something that's certain. And so there's a lot of uncertainty. A lot of time we create a plan on how to get and achieve that vision, but how many times does the plan not go as planned? We're naturally going to go through obstacles, changes, and so coaching is going to help us work through and navigate those obstacles, but it's really going to help us achieve that greater success. So it's not just about really about problems. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, like, what's the difference between coaching and therapy? Isn't it the same thing? And, I will say there's a little bit of overlap, which I'll get into in a second, but a lot of therapy, not all of it, but a lot of therapy is really focused on the past. It's helping you heal from your past trauma, and they're trying to bring you back into that effective, grounded level. And then coaching is generally very future forward, like I had mentioned before, goal and oriented. The overlap you may experience, if any of you do have a therapist, is related to CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and that's where we are reframing circumstances. So that's a little bit of our overlap. You might also hear that coaching is only for the elite and the executives, right? Well, really, yes, it can be, especially in an organization like this. A lot of organizations invest for professional coaches for their executives, but at the end of the day, a mother can coach her kids. A teacher can coach their students. A daughter can coach their parents. I can't tell you how many times I now coach my dad. These tools apply to everybody. So it's not just executives. Coaching is a quick fix or produces immediate results. I will say with some of the tools we're going to be giving you today, they're going to give you some breakthroughs and some insights. So these little aha moments, and they're going to be exciting. You're going to have like this breath of fresh air when you have that aha moment. But really, coaching is a transformational process. So just because you have that breakthrough, the next step is action. And a lot of the time, action takes courage. And so a lot of time we're working through a lot of the obstacles, or, we have that insight, but why are we not acting on that insight? You'll find that experience with an employee, you'll find that experience with a leader, you'll find that only experience with yourself. We all know what to do. We always don't do that for some reason, and we'll get into a little bit of that. Coaching is only about achieving professional goals. Yes, that's a piece of it. But what I love to say is, in order for me to effectively cultivate a leader, right, to effectively cultivate a strong leader, I have to cultivate a strong human. Every single piece of our life bleeds into other pieces. So if you're maybe having financial issues, if you're having marital issues, if you're having issues with your kids, all those areas are going to affect your work, right? And so coaching can absolutely be applied. The same tools can be applied to the different areas of your life. Now, coaching gives advice and mentorship. I'll tell you a quick story. One of the things I love doing, I network a lot. I have my own coaching practice. I network a lot, and I love meeting other coaches. I love asking them, what inspired you to join this field? And I remember I met this gal, and she was like, I love telling people what to do. And like my insides, I was like, that goes everything I'm against, because really at the end of the day, at least everything I've been taught and everything I fundamentally believe is that coaching is really about activating your potential. And what makes my advice better than your advice? So it really isn't me about telling you what to do. It's about me unlocking your own solutions so you feel motivated and inspired to do. Coaches need to be experts in their field. I'm not an engineer, just in case no one knew. I'm not an engineer, and I'm coaching engineers daily, right? So you don't have to be an expert. You really just have to be able to ask the right questions, because at the end of the day, we go back to what are your solutions?